So here we have Soulfinder, Demon's Match. And I apologize that I can't do this on my phone because it's been acting really wonky today and I don't want to have to deal with it. So I figured I'd go to what was the initial campaign and talk about it on something that I have a little bit more faith in than I have in my phone. So this is Soulfinder by Douglas Ernst, who of course is a YouTuber. And when the initial campaign came out, it just happened to be at a time where I just was being a lot more careful with my money. So I was out of the phase of backing people that I knew just because, I liked their YouTube channel. And I was kind of looking more into getting more. I think this was probably the time I was getting more fantasy based comics. I found it intriguing, but I didn't know that I understood completely what Soulfinder was about. So I passed on it, hoping that it was going to be on in demand for a while, but unfortunately it wasn't. But that was okay though, because I caught a playback of a Doug Ernst live stream, and he talked about Soulfinder and that he still had copies, and basically gave the contact info to get a hold of him. And I did, because I'd heard some really good things about Soulfinder and I wanted to check it out because, I had a better handle on my budgeting and, I could afford it. So there we go. And I'm really, really glad that I got Soulfinder Demon's Match. Now, I am a Christian, but I'm not a Catholic. I went to a wow, what am I forgetting? I went to seminary, but it was a Pentecostal. There we go. It was a Pentecostal seminary that I went to. So a lot of what I read in Soulfinder was slightly different from kind of what I went through while I was in seminary, but it was fascinating for that reason. And so I loved just how unique it was. So essentially it is, it's a exorcism type book. And the way that it's done is really unique. So you have these former combat veterans who became priests, and once in a while one of them becomes so good at their job, or or I guess you could say they're so good at their job that they are, that they become what is called a soul finder. And so, the soul finder, like to me, it's sort of like exactly what it says. Like you encounter people who are possessed by demons, and like you're basically trying to find their soul. But what was fascinating about this is that you had it as a more sort of origin story. So you have Father Rudder, and he is seasoned, in exorcism. So it's not like he is a complete novice, but he kind of ends up in a situation that is completely over his head. And I really loved the story for that, because I'm someone who sometimes in faith and just in dealing with life as a faith person, life as someone who engages in ministry, you feel that kind of times where you have some expertise, but then you end up in things where you're just completely over your head. So it definitely hit me from that aspect. And I loved how it really was human. So no one was perfect, because I feel like one of the problems, especially in things that involve Christianity, as done by Christians, is there's this tendency to want to present Christians as being, completely wholesome, completely perfect, and never struggling. And that just is not the Christian walk. It really isn't the Christian walk. And so to see Father Rudder go through this and have times where he's questioning himself and times where he's falling to temptation, it really made it like that was how you make something really relatable. I love the art. I love the art. I've always been a fan of Timothy Lim's art. I've always been a fan of it. And just, I know he has the more cute, cartoony style, but I think, the way that this worked, it worked really well for the book. And so I applaud him because, I saw the stream where he talked about it and just how hard it was for him because, he had to do it, more realistic. And so I applaud you, Timothy, because that, I can get how hard it probably was, but it looks amazing for that. And of course, Brett Smith's colors are just phenomenal in this. I think, like, I know that just some guy said that this is the best, crowdfunded comic that he read. And yeah, I would definitely, I would give that as well, because one of the things that I love, because here's something that I love, and this has to do with storytelling, because it's not just enough to do your best to give a good story. Every bit of dialogue has to have a purpose. And Doug hit that so well. Every bit of dialogue, like you never felt that there was a time that, dialogue came about and it was just there to waste space. All the dialogue, it fit the story. It moved the story forward. You didn't just have you didn't have exposition just given to you. You explored it. Everything was exactly as it was supposed to be. And so it was a story that by the end of it, I was practically shaking because I was so excited and so moved by the story and so ready for the second one. And yeah, I just, you don't, in this Christian walk, you don't always win. And so even some of the losses and, the complications, because yeah, like for me, when I review it, it purely is for that, because the storytelling is masterful, the art perfect, the way the colors are, it fits it. But to me, it really is just like that magnificence of that Christian walk and how not everything is happy at the end. And so I'm interested to see what happens in the next issue of Soulfinder, because if we can, if Doug can keep this kind of like richness in his storytelling, and I have a feeling he does, because you can definitely tell he cares about this, the work that it does, man, I'm really excited for it. And I think even if you are not a Christian, I think like you could just get an enjoyable story, because I would say that, it comes from a place of Doug being a Catholic, but so it has things that are very Catholic based. And yeah, for me, I was able to read the ancient Greek, but that's because I had to study it in seminary. But, you didn't have to know what the Greek was. You didn't have to know what the Latin was to get the sense of, what was kind of going on. And, you don't even have to be religious to get the sense of what's going on, because if you liked movies like The Exorcist, you would find, that same kind of love in there, because it's not pushing you toward a particular denomination. It's there to entertain you. But if you're someone of faith, you just get that richer understanding, because you're knowing the things to look for, like the cross and the conversations. And yeah, I just, it's something that I know that I probably will reread at another point, because there's probably things that I missed even in the first reading. And, now that I know the dialogue, I'm probably going to spend more time looking through the art, because it is that's the second half of where the storytelling is. So yeah, I loved Soulfinder. I loved Soulfinder. It is something that really just kind of, it makes you think. It makes you think, and it makes you pay attention. And that is, that's everything that a good comic like that should do. It should hit you in the emotions. It should make you concerned because there are stakes. There are stakes in this. No one is perfect, but no one, but it's not a story where everyone is bad at the same time. So I give Soulfinder a high recommend. And yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do the bell stuff for notifications, share this, do all of that, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.